with him. Okay, so he sends you this email. We'll put it back up on the screen and give you a chance to look at this. This is the one that says the Crown Prosecutor of Russia met with his father, meaning Emin's father, and in their meeting offered to provide the Trump campaign with documents, information that could incriminate Hillary Clinton, etc. Obviously highly sensitive information, but as part of Russia and its government's support of Mr. Trump. And then they asked the best way to handle this. This email comes in. What are you thinking?
Honestly, my takeaway when all of this was going on is that someone has information on our opponent. You know, things are going a million miles an hour. You know what it's like to be on a campaign. We just won Indiana, but we're talking about a contested convention. Things are going a million miles an hour again. And, hey, wait a minute. I've heard about all these things, but maybe this is something. I should hear them out.
Okay. When you read the parts about the Russian government or Russia supporting your father, did that put off any sirens in your head?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I think this was, again, just basic information that was going to be possibly there. I didn't know these guys well enough to understand that if this talent manager from Miss Universe, you know, had this kind of thing. So I wanted to hear him out and play it out and see what happens. But, you know, people are trying to reach out to you all the time with this.
All right. So you spent a lot of time talking about it, and you actually said at one point that, hey, if it turns out to say what you say it is,
of course.
What did you think it might be?
Listen, I'd been reading about scandals that people were probably underreporting for a long time. So maybe it was something that had to do with one of those things. I mean, this was her perhaps involvement with the Russian government. So, you know, again, I didn't know there was any credibility. I didn't know if there was anything behind it. I can't vouch for the information. You know, someone sent me an email. I can't help what someone sends me. You know, I read it. I responded accordingly. And if there was something interesting there, I think it's pretty common.
What about the timeline of this? This is pre, for example, WikiLeaks and the DNC
honestly,
emails.
This is pre, like, Russia fever. This is pre-Russia mania. You know, this is 13 months ago, before I think the rest of the world was talking about that, trying to build up this narrative about Russia. So I don't even think my sirens, you know, went up, or the antennas went up at this time because of it, because it wasn't the issue that it's been made out to be over the last, you know, 9 months, 10 months, since it really became a thing. So I think there is an element of context to that. At the time, it wasn't this big news story.
All right. What did you know about Emin's father? What did you know about them from Moscow? Was it just the pageant you met them at?
They had the
Doral
pageant, and they're
concert?
successful real estate developers over there. So, you know, that's the extent of, you know, my knowledge with them. I'd met Emin once or twice, and, you know, maintained a casual relationship there, talked about some potential deals, and that's about the extent of it. They really didn't go anywhere.
What do you know about this Russian lawyer? What did you at the time, if anything, know about?
I actually didn't know anything about it. Again, an acquaintance, you know, sent me this email. As a courtesy to him, I said, okay, let's meet. But I didn't know who I was meeting beforehand, never heard of the person, never got the information until they were in the room.
At any point were you told, either in a phone conversation or otherwise, what they might tell you, what Goldstone seemed to be implying you would receive?
No, as I recall, it was all basically this email coordination. Let's try to set up a meeting and see what happens, and that it was going to be interesting information. And, you know, in the end, it wasn't about that at all.
Let's go into the meeting. All right, so you meet at Trump Tower.
Yes.
Okay, the meeting was described earlier today on the Today Show. Did she describe it accurately?
I think fairly accurately. I mean, I was a little taken back by her saying, you know, talking about me pressing for the information. But as you can see from the emails, the pretext of the meeting was, hey, we have information. And there was, you know, some small talk. I don't even remember what it was. It just was sort of nonsensical, inane and garbled, and then quickly went on to, you know, a story about Russian adoption and how we could possibly help. And really, that's where we shut it down, which is, wait a second.